Huzo, in your opinion, what is the greatest achievement of Hazrat Musleh Moud?
I think, in short, his greatest achievement is twofold. Number one, a prophecy of his birth was made at a time when people had demanded from Musleh Moud a living proof of his truth and a living proof of God's existence. So he went to Hoshiarpur for that special prayer which everybody knows about. And during that prayer he was told by God things which were to be fulfilled in future. And one of them was that his son will be bestowed upon him, who will grow from strength to strength and will be bestowed by spiritual knowledge as well as the secular knowledge, despite the fact that he will not be taught otherwise. I mean, that's implied in that. Allah will directly take care of his knowledge. Now, to prophesy about such a person was impossible to have been made by someone himself, because everybody knows that after his death his children may go astray, and nobody can claim of his own longevity of life either. Nobody knows when the death call will come. So the birth was to take place many years after this prophecy. And then for that child to survive, while there were some grave challenges to Hazrat Musleh Moud and the newborn baby from the Aryans particularly. Not Aryans, but Arya Hindus, Arya Samajis. Now a duel started between Musleh Moud and Lekram. And Musleh Moud said, these are the words of God and they will be fulfilled. They shall be fulfilled. And he said, no. Now this had started even before the birth of Hazrat Musleh Moud. He said, my God has told me that whoever has spoken to you is Satan and not God. And my God has told me, according to Lekram, that whatever is born, if at all anything, it will be a mole, not a human child. And that something will not survive long enough to grow into a great boy and great leader of peoples and nations. So the words he used were very obnoxious. I don't want to repeat all that, but the gist of all this duel was that Musleh Moud was insisting that this will happen, and he was saying, no, it will not happen. Now he was punished by God according to the prophecy of Musleh Moud 3 years after the birth of this child. So he saw with his own eyes the falsification of his own prophecies. He saw that his son was born, a healthy son was growing, and he couldn't do anything about it. So God did not punish him until he was frustrated to see the falsehood of his own prophecies. So the table was overturned. It was God who spoke to Musleh Moud. It was Satan who spoke to Lekram. So that is one comparison which has to be made. It was a duel between Islam and non-Islamic forces. between Islam and Christianity, Islam and Hinduism, etc., and a real solid proof had to be presented. And in Musleh Moud prophecy, you find that proof, much before he develops into a great man. And secondly, the qualities attributed to him were something which simply could not be imagined by any person, because people's children grow into many different things, and it's not even essential that they become religious. They could grow into anything. So his early education seemed to threaten the people who loved him to grow into a great knowledgeable person. They were afraid they might have secret quakes that look at this boy, he can't even succeed in matriculation examination. At every step in his education, he is promoted with the line that he did not pass, but he is promoted. So in fact, he did not pass any class. Throughout, he was being promoted. He always reached that edge, that border, where people who wanted to be kind to him, his teachers, had a justification to promote him further, tilt him over to the next class. Now, this is what was happening. Now, imagine the frustration of those who loved him and loved Musleh Moud and were wondering what great prophecy is about this boy. And then it was they themselves who saw that he rapidly grew to such heights of knowledge as no one could claim in that age. His Tafsir Kabir, before he claimed that Tafsir Kabir had been, that part of Tafsir Kabir which he had written was completed before the death of my mother, as I have referred to. And the knowledge of the Quran had become very apparent. And then he had knowledge of so many different things, so many different trades. His knowledge of world politics is amazing. His knowledge of Indian politics is amazing. His knowledge of what happened in the world of Islam and what forces threatened Islam in Muslim countries. And at every crisis which faced the Muslim world, he stood beyond everybody else to advise them in a way that all the other leaders of Muslims were opposed to him, and the future events proved that he was right and they were wrong. Now, this is not the work of an illiterate person. That is why I said it was implied in the prophecy that God will teach him. He was a great homeopath. He could mix essential oils into beautiful essences and fragrances, and as such, whenever you visited I visited his special, we call it Qasr Khilafat, it was always fragrant with the aroma of what he himself had made. And his opportunity given by God to him to eternalize whatever Musleh Moud had started. That is the most important feature of his being a Musleh Moud, because he didn't any reform from himself. Whatever Musleh Moud had done, he perpetuated it in the form of organizations which he made, And those organizations were like vessels in which the spirit of Musleh Moud the reform was filled. So, to cut a long story short, which is a very long story indeed, I think that should be sufficient for the time being. Right?